Let's predict the college football playoff rankings for this week. They're going to come out tomorrow night. Tuesday, we'll all talk about it. We'll talk about the reaction to it once it gets here. But I want to kind of call our shot together now and give you our predictions for what the committee will say. Now, to be clear, we don't hold the same opinion as the committee. We're not 100% aligned on our predictions versus what we actually think of what they should do. So, with that being said, this is what we think the committee is going to say. All right, first things first, make sure you're subscribed. We want y'all dialed in here. College football, only college football every single day of the year. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Judy Pickell. Let me know what you think the committee should do when it comes to these rankings. At number 6, they're going to have Oregon. And this is not disrespectful to Oregon. This is not saying Oregon isn't a top 5 team or a top 4 team. They're just that fighter that's sitting there in the corner waiting for their shot at the title. And if they keep handling business, as Oregon has done to this point in the years, they did this past weekend against Arizona State, it will build up to that title fight for the Pac-12 against Washington, more than likely, is what we're saying. So just keep on doing your thing. You'll get that title fight for Oregon. I think I've said it many times. I think they're a top 4 caliber team, but it's the matter of can they punch that ticket by beating a team like Washington and getting to the college football playoff. A lot of thought around, well, if one lost Alabama, if one lost Texas, and I think those teams have a lot of merit to still find their way into the top 4, does Texas and Bama. But I'm here to tell you, the committee likes Oregon from an eye test perspective. That's huge. They're telling us what they think about Oregon right now. And obviously, Bama beating Georgia, if they were to be a one-loss SEC champ, that would be huge for their resume, and we'll unpack that if that ends up being the case. I'm telling you, Oregon, if they handle business, they're not getting left out. That's how we feel about it today. At number 5, you got Florida State. And I think they'll have Florida State at 5. Nothing to do with Jordan Travis getting hurt. Nothing to do with Jordan Travis getting hurt. They're not getting dropped because of that. I think they just got passed, to be honest with you, based on watching, who we'll talk about here in a second. It could be this way all the way until Selection Sunday. You could play for an ACC championship, sit there at 5, and say, oh, we're gonna be in the top 4 if we win this game. The answer is yes. Okay, so you got dropped this weekend. I say dropped. You got passed this weekend, because of what Washington did, beating a good ranked team on the road. You beat North Alabama. You're still undefeated. Worry about what you can control. You're at 5 this week. If you handle business, you'll be in that top 4. Now, at number 4, like I said, we got Washington. Nice little resume boost. And Washington, they feel so much like TCU of last year, where every single week you're like, is this the week they're going to lose? Is this the week? Is this the week? The matchups, hey, line of scrimmage. Credit Washington, man. Every single week they just come out, get buckets. They did the same thing on the road now. I don't think that can be overlooked. On the road in a tough place to play, in the rain, in a spot where it's tough to throw the football, where it should have been tough to throw the football for Washington. They just keep on checking boxes. I would be wildly surprised if we don't see them jump into that top 4 this week. Now, what I said about Florida State is true about Washington. It doesn't matter where you are until Selection Sunday, but if you have a 0 next to your name in the loss column, you'll be in. But again, I think we see them jump based on resume here. The eye test has been what the eye test is, but the resume here, I think, bumps them up into that top 4 based on that nice win over a good Oregon State football team. All right, at number 3, you got Michigan. We'll keep it quick here. No reason to drop them. In my opinion, no reason to bump them up. Played Maryland tough. There was a whole lot of weird going into that game with the Harbaugh situation, taking the suspension and the coach getting fired and the letdown from Penn State and look ahead to Ohio State, like, won a football game. I don't think we should read too much into the gameplay of this game because of what I just said with how weird it was going in. We understand what it is with Michigan. We've said it every single segment on this kind of segment when it comes to rankings. Like, it's about that game this weekend. And we'll have a pick for you in that game for this upcoming weekend tomorrow on our live show. So Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you're dialed in. We'll have a pick for you, Michigan, Ohio State. There's been nothing to this point from last weekend to move them around. So Michigan, they will be at 3. Ohio State, they will be at 2. Same thing. No reason to bump them. No reason to drop them. Handled Minnesota. One of these 2 teams, Ohio State and Michigan, will not be in the top 4 this time next week. So Michigan will be at 3. Ohio State will be at 2. I don't think we're too far out on a limb in saying that. Georgia will be once again number 1. Y'all, they just keep getting better now. It's the way it feels like, at least. We're supposed to say, well, Georgia, they're coming into a raucous environment on the road, and we'll see how they handle that aggressive defense. And they're off a bounce back against Tennessee. Like, what are they going to look like? And Georgia just keeps on handling business. They keep on checking boxes. They keep on getting better. No reason to drop them. In fact, if they weren't number 1 last week, I think you could have put them into the number 1 spot this week based on how they handled Tennessee. It's not just a matter of they've won those games and had the resume boost. They're doing the resume boost thing by beating Ole Miss the way they beat them, by beating Tennessee the way they beat them, and then also the eye test. Like, I don't see any weaknesses for Georgia right now. Personally, I don't think the committee will see that